Today's episode was sponsored by Brilliant. Oh boy, do we still remember one of these videos? For the veterans out there, this is going to make a lot of sense, and you're probably really excited to watch this video right now. But for the newcomers, here's a bit of a backstory of my YouTube channel. So when we started this entire thing, I started this channel properly when I was 17. So I was literally a teenager sitting in front of this camera, ranting to you guys about the importance of education, the importance of reading more, the importance of getting yourself back into reading a few pages a day so one day you can aspire to be the most educated person you could be. But I think this is a classic tale of myself. Actually, I'm talking about myself right here. Getting to something with the best intentions, yet sometimes reality has a really special way of skewing your original intentions, has a really special way to kind of knock you off course. So recently, and I want to use this video as a bit of an entry point into a stylistic change that I want to make to this YouTube channel, which is I've noticed how clunky and incohesive or how unfulfilling ideas feel when I try to edit them into, rapid cuts or try to use jump cuts to fill in the gaps, or to use jump cuts to fill in all the mistakes that I've made throughout the video. So I think right now I'm at a point in my life where I really want to develop my speaking abilities, and I think it is a lot better compared to my speaking abilities from a few years ago. If you want to watch some of my embarrassing retakes, reel the videos back like 5-6 years ago, you're going to see a completely different version of me. You're going to see a completely, albeit, I don't know if it's more embarrassing or more redemptive the way that I used to make YouTube videos. But anyway, so I really want to use this video as an entry point into getting back to what I was passionate about when I first started YouTube. Getting back into something that I couldn't wait to do when I got back home from university, when I got back home from high school, when I first started this YouTube channel, and just simply start the wheel or start the play again, rewind the film to the first frame and start it all over again. So here's simply me. My name is Waldun, and I'm someone who's really interested in self-education, and I want to pass on some of the lessons I've learned to you. And here's my offer. In the future, I'm going to do a lot less of this crazy editing stuff. I really don't enjoy editing, and I feel like ideas take on a special flow when I'm recording them in a kind of unedited manner. I tend to take a lot more pauses that I need to think about these ideas as I present them, and I really like to pursue the stuff that I don't know. And I feel like for me personally, I tend to discover the stuff that I don't really know in the process of talking about ideas. So if you want a glorified version of the rubber ducky method, I'm talking to a camera, so the camera is my rubber ducky in this case. Anyway, today, I have a really, really interesting idea that I want to share with you guys, and it's sort of a consequence of me observing a part of my life recently. So, backstory, true story. When I was in high school, you might not know this about me, but I was very much a jockey person. This might be really hard to believe, but I went to the gym on average 3 to 4 times a week. Because another backstory, I struggled with anxiety and depression for the better part of my teenage years, and my only solution at the time was to work out. And one of the key solutions that I found for myself to mitigate the kind of consequences of depression and anxiety was that I worked out a lot. I love going to the gym, and breaking a sweat always made me feel really good. I don't feel really groggy. I don't really feel groggy in the morning after a workout, and ever since then, I've always associated working out with really good sort of mental health and physical health. But then COVID sort of destroyed it, and it's not until recently that I actually started working out again. Anyway, I digress. This morning, I went to the gym after getting back into my workout routine, and I thought to myself, wow, there were these 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds working in the gym, pumping real hard. So by the time I got there, when I entered the gym, they were already at it, and they were already pretty sweaty, and they were like switching from one machine to the next, and by the time I left, they were still there. A part of my brain wants to think that, man, these kids are absolutely amazing. Working out for that amount of hours, hitting the gym 24/7, living the grind life, trying to get yourself into optimal peak physical state, while at the same time being a very productive person, I mean, that all sounds really great on paper, but given my experience in fitness, starting in high school and now sort of like rebuilding myself into a pretty consistent workout habit, I started to notice that sometimes, not all the times, if you have the tendency to do way too much when you start a habit, if you have the tendency to construct some sort of elaborate thing around your goals or a desired outcome, they don't really tend to get done at the end of the day. So a good example of this is people who go to the gym way too hard. I don't know, on the 1st of January at the start of a new year, they set themselves a goal and they construct this vision of like what a healthy life would look like. And they fall in love with that vision so completely that after a few days of hitting the gym for 2 hours straight every single day, they tend to burn out. And this is the same with reading, because I've noticed that on the internet, especially nowadays, people tend to romanticize the image of reading or the image of self-education or the image of being a learned person a lot more than the actual process of getting to the reading done, or getting down to the actual process of reading this and reading that, or getting down to the actual sometimes tedious process of selecting the books, picking out the books, annotating the books, make sure you understand the books. So all these things here, that's the practicalities. But I think what I'm seeing right now is a lot more people are investing a lot more effort into the visual side of it. In a sense, romanticizing these acts to the point where they burn themselves out. They start to overwhelm themselves. They start to lose sight of the purpose of why they're doing this thing. They start to not see reading for what it is, which is a process of enrichment, a process of slowing your brain down, and a process of bringing more perspectives on the world into your head, or to allow you to assemble your own philosophy of life. This entire process is beautiful. It is sometimes romantic when you hit those really good days when you are drowned, or when you are drunk on a new idea, when you're drunk on a new perspective, or when you suddenly understand a philosopher that you've always wanted to understand. So those sudden glimpses of enlightenment, those are truly romantic moments. You can sort of dwell in those moments. You can kind of pride yourself when you experience one of those moments. But if you expect yourself to have those moments all the time, if you expect yourself to live that kind of fantastical dream of, I have a latte next to me, the weather's perfect, I have a notebook next to me that I'm going to take notes on from this book, and every day I'm going to read like a perfect person, or perfectly read a book like the most educated person I could be. I'm going to, set up all the sceneries right, and make sure all the conditions are right. But then what happens? A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month later, you run out of steam. And you can't even conjure up the reason why you wanted to get into this self-education business in the first place. So a parallel to the gym example, just to draw a common thread here, when people want to get into a new goal, they often set themselves a really big, sexy vision of what the thing is eventually going to be, without realizing that the practicalities of getting there, the practicalities of reading 5 pages to 10 pages a day, and the practicalities of keeping track of everything you've read, practicing all the techniques that I preached on this channel, and then putting together your own sort of view and perspective on life, that process is like, 80% just boring stuff, 80% of like bang your head against the wall when you don't understand something, 80% of just a rather mundane kind of repetitive routine. It's like, God, I have to read my 10 pages again, or God, I have to get my 20 minutes of workout in again. So all this stuff is rather mundane. And I think, especially in our media culture, which I've tackled in the other places before, I think we have a tendency to want to grab onto the imageries of things, or to grab onto how the thing is supposed to look, instead of what the thing should actually feel like. And we're always on a cusp of looking for that reward from appearing a certain way instead of actually doing the act. From my personal experience, right now I read anywhere from 20 to 30 pages a day from various books, and I'm actually going to share my reading program with you guys pretty soon. I've developed a new way of reading everything under the sun, which is something I'm practicing right now, and I'll be really excited to share that process with you guys very soon. But in my experience right now, of reading very consistently for 20 to 30 pages a day for the last few months, I think I've read a lot more than I used to when I was really just prizing the whole sexy vision of reading. But it's rather mundane. It's rather slow on some days, and some days I won't really feel like reading. I don't really want to crack open a book. I don't really want to break out a pencil to annotate anything. So it's a rather frustrating process if I do have one of those days. But on those days when this consistency pays off, those are the glimpses of enlightenment that I'll remember for a long, long while. And I think people mistake that sort of sudden elevation or sudden feeling of I've achieved this as the goalpost for, yeah, you've done this well. So they don't really putting as much effort into their daily routines, and they don't really acclimate to the practical reality of everyday life, the practical reality of if you want to achieve something you do today, you can do a little bit, and don't burn yourself out. If you do just do a little bit today, if you just read 30 pages today or 15 pages today, at the end of the month, you are going to complete that book. You are going to hit your workout quota, and you will eventually get to the place where you want to be. So in a sense, what I'm trying to say here is we put a lot of effort into this process of wanting a thing to look a certain way. We put a lot of effort into setting the things up. And we put a lot of effort into imagining ourselves, into being that kind of person, or into a completely different lifestyle. We think if we install this one thing, my life will be completely different, without realizing that if you want a long-term and significant change, or if you want a long-term significant goal to come true, if you want to read more books, or if you want to be more consistent in your habits, all it takes is something on a daily that you do on a daily. There's no dramatic action here. You won't get a huge reward right off the bat. And I think there's a delayed reaction, or there's a delayed reward curve when it comes down to something like reading or taking care of your health. But at the end of the day, the reward will come. You just have to accustom your brain to boredom. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned recently with regards to self-education, with regards to reading. And I think I'm going to keep doing this process, and I'm going to keep sharing lessons from you guys. But nevertheless, that's all I have to cover in this video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this kind of unfiltered format of a video. It really forces me to present my ideas as they come to me. It really forces me to assemble ideas on the spot, and I feel like that's for me, that's a way more preferable way than to script a video out and to sort of like follow this artificial guideline for what I should speak about and what I shouldn't speak about. So expect more of these videos. But before we go here, please allow me to talk a little bit about today's video sponsor, Brilliant. So if you've enjoyed a lot of my lessons on this YouTube channel, and if you've enjoyed the little tidbits and ideas that I've gifted you in the form of videos, Brilliant.org is sort of the STEM counterpart of what this channel is. And this is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in mathematics, data analysis, programming, and artificial intelligence. Remember those really hideous mathematics classes that you can't wait to run out of? And remember those really painful drills that you had to do when you were trying to learn calculus for the first time? Well, Brilliant.org is where you learn by practicing, problem sets, and their first principles approach help you build understanding from the ground up. So instead of learning plug and play formulae, you're really going to get to the core of understanding a subject. And God, did I wish that I had Brilliant when I was in high school. And beyond just understanding topics and ideas in STEM deeply, through practicing all these problem sets and through understanding these concepts, you're building up your own repertoire of problem-solving skills, and you can do all of that from the comfort of your mobile phone. And just like what we've talked about in this video, small actions every single day. If you learn something every single day, it's going to start to accumulate to something pretty amazing eventually. And recently, I've just completed an immersive workshop on Brilliant.org on how large language models work. You know, how is it the case that these crazy models can predict speech, or can generate an answer for you, or can write entire paragraphs emulating an author's voice? All these are incredibly terrifying if you don't understand them. And for me personally, I want to understand them before I make a judgment. So that was a class that I really particularly enjoyed. And I think if you're also investigating this intersection between the humanities and technology, you're going to get a lot out of this class as well. And as a lucky viewer of this channel, to try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/rcwalden or scan the QR code on the screen for your trial. You also get 20% off of an annual premium subscription. Thank you, Brilliant, for supporting today's video, and thank you for watching, and I will be back next time with more insights. Take care, and goodbye.